This is the Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Hey YouTube, what's up? This is TRP336 here.
And like
A dark magic attack over the safety stone since you don't really send Dark Magician Girl for anything. TRP336 here.
an Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Over the road because you just attach the two.
What's good, YouTube? We're here live from Nationals. Hello everyone, and welcome back to week number 4 of the Dark Magician journey. We have a new studio set up here with a 2020 MacBook Air, a podcasting microphone, along with headphones, and much better equipment than we have been working with for the past few episodes. So I hope that everyone is enjoying watching the channel grow and seeing the videos become better in quality, better editing, and just watching the channel grow as a whole. So for this week's episode, we are going to be trying out a new deck that I've been wanting to try for a while. That deck is Dark Magician Dogmatica. But first, we need to find all the cards and put them all together. So let's start building a deck.
Few moments later.
It is also important to think about the fact that this is my first time ever building Dark Magician Dogmatica, so we might actually need some help from our friends from the rest of the YuGiTubers. So let's check them out and see what they're doing with their builds.
Totally, you should probably get more about each time all the videos will be absolutely amazing. Don't forget to. You guys, I know I dropped these.
By the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification button, and subscribe. If you get this video up to at least 50.
Justin putting in a pointer of the Red Lotus, as it is a fantastic side card to deal with issues like that of Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Kaijus, Dark Ruler No More.
So after watching some YouTube videos and getting some advice from some friends, I am feeling much more confident in building this deck. So without further ado, let's get the binders and let's put the deck together. Okay, so after a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of hand testing, I think we do finally have the build for Sunday put together. Guys, I am so excited to finally be able to try out this deck. Shoutouts to my friend Austin Wood for letting me borrow the Nadir Servants, the Ecclesias, the Schisms, the App Cologne,
Moments later.
the Winda, pretty much everything that's not Dark Magician, he was letting me borrow for this Sunday. So shoutouts to him, and I'm about to show you guys the deck now, and there are going to be some significant changes that definitely make this deck not your standard Dark Magician deck. So let's see what you guys think about it. Okay, so here we find ourselves over on Dueling Book, and I figured that I'm going to give you guys a rundown of the deck and kind of go over some card choices that I'm playing and tell you guys about the number of cards I'm playing, the ratios I'm playing. So, right off the bat, you're going to notice that I only play 2 copies of Dark Magical Circle. This is because I really want to keep this deck at 40, no more than 40, and something had to give. I feel like with Circle, 9 times out of 10, the second and third copy never come up. As in late game, most of the time these are going to become food for our Magician Souls and discard fodder for our Dragoon. So, that being said, you still have multiple ways to get to these 2 circles, and according to everyone in the Dark Magician chat group and the Dark Magician group on Facebook, I should be more than fine with playing just 2. I would never recommend going down to 1 because of the likes of things such as Cosmic Cyclone. You do not want to lose access to this card the same way as Eternal Soul. So, moving on forward, we have our Nadir Servants with our 1 Ecclesia. I chose to only play 1 Ecclesia as Nadir Servant can recycle this card, and in this deck the main focus of this card is grabbing our Punishment, basically giving us more copies of Dogmatic Punishment to be able to go 2 for 1 off of trap cards. Something that is relevant with Nadir Servant in this deck that not a lot of people know about is the fact that Nadir Servant can send the likes of Dark Magician and the Dragon Knight from the extra deck to the graveyard, which if you're not familiar with this card, his name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard, and why that is good is because sending this card off of punishment immediately makes your copies of Soul Servant live, which normally you would need a card like Magician's Souls or need to be able to make Dragoon with Red Eyes Fusion to make this card live. So this card just sets this card up just amazingly. So that is another big reason why I really like Nadir Servant and the Dogmatic of Friends in this deck. One other card that we're trying out this week is Mysterion the Dragon Crown, which is the new fusion out of Lightning Overdrive. If you're not familiar with this card, it takes a Spellcaster monster plus 1 Dragon monster. The effect reads, cannot be used as fusion material. This card loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards. If a monster uses its activated effect to special summon itself, or in monsters with the same original type except during the damage step, you can target one of those special summon monsters, banish that monster, also banish all monsters from the field with its original type. I almost said attribute. With its original type. So, naturally, this card needing a Spellcaster and a Dragon, it fits right in. At one point in time, I was going to think about playing Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, because it seems like drawing her and Red Eyes does come up more often than it should. But thankfully, we no longer have to go that route because now we can make this guy. So we're going to try him out this week. Our side deck doesn't differentiate that much from last week's, except we are trying out Witch's Strike and a Pointer of the Red Lotus. If you're not familiar with a pointer, this card reads pay 2,000 life and reveal your entire hand. Look at your opponent's hand and banish 1 card from their hand until your opponent's next end phase. So why that card is good is this card is essentially an out to evenly matched. That does not require you to pay half your life points like Judgment does. You can also trap trick into this card. This card takes care of the likes of Lightning Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster. It also gives you the knowledge of knowing what is in your opponent's hand, and if they do not have any of those cards in their hand, you can always hit the best card in their hand with it. So hopefully this card ends up working out well. We also have the Aerial, which combos with the Punishment, with the Apt Cologne and the extra deck. So I hope this deck ends up working out the way I think it will in theory. We also threw in the Schism to be able to have access to making Winded to be able to stun our opponent. And we have also went back to playing triple copy of Ice Dragon's Prison because getting over Dragoon is actually quite rough for this deck. Our biggest strength is also our biggest weakness. So that's basically wrapping up the deck for this weekend. I also did not forget to play Ultimate Falcon this week. We will never lose because we're not playing Ultimate Falcon for Waking the Dragon ever again. I will always play these two in a pair going forward if I choose to play this card. So let's get everything packed up as local starts here in about another 45 minutes. Let's go play some games with our friends and have a great day today.
You get anything good so far?
I pulled a budding rope, white roses,
Sweet.
I got a starlight full of lunar moon.
Alright, so starting things off today, we play against our good friend Ty Payne. He is playing Cyber Dragons, which was probably the matchup that I was the most afraid going into locals today to play against. We go all the way to Game 3 after a very quick Game 1 after him ending on Infinity Dragoon plus a set overflow with 3 pops on it. We had a very good Game 2. Going into Game 3, we have some back and forth action. It was definitely a great game with him. I always enjoy getting to play against Ty. He is one of my best friends in the entire world, one of the best players that I know, and I wouldn't be where I am today in the game without his help and his teachings. But unfortunately for him today, I did manage to take home the W. Okay, so after we managed to take round 1 against Ty, that puts us playing against our good friend Dawson in round 2. This is actually my first time playing against Drytron since the release of their XYZ monster and Diviner of the Heralds. Dawson noted to me before the tournament started that he was still trying to learn most of the combos for Drytron. I thought that he did a spectacular job considering how intricate the combo trees for this deck actually are, and I was very much impressed with how this deck can perform. I did manage to take this victory over Dawson 2-0, but it definitely was not an easy match. this deck is definitely a top contender, and without that of Solemn Strike in my deck, I'm not sure that my deck could physically get over a copy of Herald of Ultimateness. So look forward to playing against him next week. Hopefully we both get to play each other again then. This moves us up into round 3, playing against our good friend Tony Icon from Greensboro. Playing against what I consider to be the hardest matchup for Dark Magician, which is Virtual World. I always enjoy getting to play against Tony. I feel like he is such a skillful player and that I can learn a lot just from watching him play. Unfortunately, we don't end up beating him this time around, but I do think that we took home some knowledge of finally maybe being able to beat Virtual World with some interactions and just using our cards smarter. So I definitely look forward to the next time I get to play against him and his Virtual World deck. But don't worry, we didn't go home empty-handed today due to our one loss. We managed to take home this Garbage Pail Kids 1990s card called Destroyed Void from our good friend Michael Shore. He said he found this in his old bulk looking through it the night before the tournament and was just counting down the minutes until I lost a match so he could present me with this. Thank you, Michael. Moving into round 4, we found ourselves playing against Mr. Skull Servant himself, our friend Andrew. This deck is definitely nothing to joke about. This deck can OTK you out of nowhere. It has multiple hand traps that it can play and take advantage of on top of multiple bodies. So if you find yourself playing against this, definitely be careful. Going into round 5, we play against our good friend Lane and his pure Tenyi deck. Fortunately for Lane, we did end up taking that match home as well against his pure Tenyi deck, but that wasn't before he manages to use Harpy's Feather Duster and nuke 3 back row from my board and OTK me in game 2. So that cut is still fresh. I have to say that the deck did perform very well, and I feel like that this deck is fully capable of being able to win a tournament. I feel like most of the instances that caused me to lose were from user error and not so much from the deck build. The only card that was really dead throughout most of the day was Magicalized Fusion. I do feel like the power level of this card is way too high to cut from the list. I was seeing this card very often and not being able to set it up, unfortunately. But I do think I'm going to try this exact same build yet again next week. I'm probably only going to adjust a few cards around, maybe in the side deck, maybe a couple cards in the extra deck, but all in all, I was very happy with how this deck performed, and I cannot wait to try it more. Hopefully we can manage to keep Nadir Servant at 3 copies per deck for a while, because it does look like I'm going to be having to invest in that card before much longer if I keep enjoying this deck as much as I am now. Whatever your deck may be, whether it's Dark Magician, whether it's Blue Eyes, whether it's Red Eyes, whether it's Virtual World, Cyber Dragons, or Skull Servants, play what you enjoy. Enjoy the game that you play, and strive to be the best that you can be. But most importantly, document the memories and the fun times with your friends and your family playing this game. That's what I love the most about this game, is being able to pull people together, have some fun, just escape from reality for a few hours, and at the same time, be a little bit competitive and be able to have fun with one another. So, that's it for this week on the Dark Magician journey. But no worries, we will be back next week on episode 5. And as I stated before, I think we're going to keep playing this exact same build. I am very happy with this deck. Probably the most happy I've been so far. I do feel like this deck could win a tournament, definitely. Most of my errors were myself. I don't feel as if the deck was built improperly. This is probably the most consistent build that I have played thus far, so we will keep testing this build out. So, until next time, this is Mike. Thanks for joining me yet again on the Dark Magician journey.